Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Alejandro Perez, the CGI Nerd, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at more of my game pre-production stage. Last video I came up with the idea of the space robot and home as keywords based off of a random idea generator that I built. If you guys are interested in it, I'll put a link down below in the description so that way you guys could go to my Patreon and check out that script if you'd like to. It's available for patrons. Then after I came up with those ideas, I did go ahead and start kind of coming up with the story idea. The idea is that you are part of a colony ship, so you're playing as a robot that his job is to travel through from the colony ship to the planet to establish a receiver for a teleporter, so that way the colony ship people can transport from the colony ship into the system and deliver their people. So that is the general idea, and I'm going to go into more of the specifics of exactly how that works and why they need to do that through these ideas that I came up with after that, just fleshing out the idea more. So I'm thinking of the format that I'm going to be presenting all of this in. It is going to be a 2.5D game, and the reason for that is that I am much more proficient at 3D assets, but I want to simplify the game actions to be on a 2D plane, so that way there's less variables and less things that you can do. And I actually really like the aesthetics of that, so that's why it's kind of on a flat plane. So we're just going to look at it from that perspective there, and I think it's going to be a much more fun game if it's presented in this way. Right now I am thinking of doing each map is a single screen, so there's not going to be any camera movements within a specific set of actions that you're doing. So a specific level, each level is one map, and that will equal a screen. Or it could be like multiple sections that you have to get through, but each section is just going to be a screen, and you have to hit a target. And if you can get into that target, then you can move on to the next level. I am not sure why I wrote planet and had AR, so I'm going to just remove that. It might have been something that I was typing somewhere else. So the game setting is going to be space. We're in outer space right here, and it's kind of obvious we're going from the colony ship that's traveling from Earth, and it's going to the new planetary system. So we're starting off on Earth, or the Sol system, and traveling to various other systems to get there. So each level is going to be a different planetary system, so there's multiple colony ships. It's just going to different planetary systems, and your job is to help them land there. And it's going to be in the future. Obviously, a lot of this technology is much more advanced than what we have here, so maybe 100, 200 years from now, that will be really kind of advanced compared to what we have now, but we can still kind of see a lot of the same things that we have now. Hopefully, it'll be like distinguishable, I would believe, hopefully. So the protagonist, the person I'm going to be playing as, is going to be a robot character. So it's going to be from a 2D perspective, so we're going to be controlling it. It's not like we're in first person perspective where we're playing as him, so we're controlling the robot. We are not like actually the robot in the scheme of kind of storytelling, so it's going to be more of a third person. The robot is Why is the robot important? It's because it is critical to the success of the mission for the colony ship, or the colonists to get from the colony ship to the planetary system. And Basically, this is why. So if I have the Earth, and let's say this is the planetary system, there's many, many, many light years away. So it needs to build up speed. So we have the ship. It's going to be traveling this way, but it has to go super fast. And because it's going so fast, it's going to not be able to stop when it gets here. So it's just going to go vroom, zoom by. And what our robot's job is to jump off from the spaceship into the planetary system, go into the planetary system, navigate through to the planet that they're going to be landing on, and set up a teleporter or a receiver for a teleporter as the ship is still traveling this way. Because it can't stop or slow down in time, it's going to overshoot the city, so you got a limited amount of time to be able to set up this teleporter before it's out of range and it can no longer teleport their people into the city. So that's the general idea of the kind of why this is happening, why it's important for this robot to be able to do what he does, because this ship, in order to get from one system to the other, has to go so fast that it can't slow down. There's not enough wind resistance, there's not enough anything to be able to slow it down to a speed where it can just land over here. It's just going to overshoot it, and they're going to teleport the people into the planet over here. So that is how I am planning to get the story elements built in for this story here. Let's go back to our story here. That's the planetary, the transport receiver for the teleporter for the colonists to populate the planet. So I was thinking with the robot itself, it's purpose-built. It has to be lightweight because it's trying to conserve as much weight for the vehicle to get to the speeds that it needs to, but then that gives it a little bit less shielding, so we need to be careful with that, with the way that we design it. But it is purpose-built, lightweight, because of the needs of interstellar travel. The AI is going to be programmed very much like the early astronauts or test pilots, so I want to incorporate some of those designs so that way it gives us the feeling of kind of a that kind of really adventurous type of space cowboy type of character. So maybe I'll put that in parentheses here. Space cowboy. And it's just going to be that idea that the robot's willing to take risk and able to get these challenging things successfully achieved. And then maybe like as it becomes more and more successful, maybe he'll have a set of like planetary systems as like patches that he puts onto his system or something like that. But we can think more about the design a little bit later. I just wanted to get the idea of that is his kind of personality. I was also thinking that it will also have kind of integrated tools for being able to maneuver the planetaries through the planetary systems. So they could be like limited resources. So maybe he has like an engine burst with fuel, but he can only have a certain amount of fuel. Maybe he can have gravity fields, and those gravity fields could be ways for him to be able to reroute his path. And manipulate gravity so that way he can fly, because a big part of the game that I want to do is kind of manipulating gravity and be able to use gravity to be able to fly around the system. So I was thinking from a story perspective, does this game have an antagonist? And basically what I've come to the conclusion is that the environment itself is the protagonist. So the planetary system and the hazards on the path to the colony planet that he's trying to reach. So Again, I was looking at NASA's website, and on NASA's website, they have hazards of human space travel, and they listed these 5 different categories. So radiation, isolation and confinement, distance from Earth, gravity or lack thereof, hostile environment. So I'm trying to incorporate all of these things here. And from a story's perspective, all of these kind of make sense for what's going on. So radiation, why don't we just shoot the individual colonists or like in individual ships or anything like that, is because then that would add extra weight to the space travel, but also part of that extra weight is kind of shielding and things like that for the that can cause damage to the humans for radiation. Isolation and confinement. So confinement in particular is going to be part of the reason is those ships might be very compact, and you don't want the people to get too stressed being compact. And isolation, so I would say that the people in the colony ship are probably in some sort of stasis pod or something like that to be able to optimize the amount of space and the number of people that they can take. So they are kind of isolated in their pods. The robot himself is going to be isolated. He's running this maybe in communication with an AI from the colony ship, but he's not really going to be interacting with people until they land on the new planet. Distance from Earth, that is going to be a big kind of story element from the game, because the distance of Earth is why all of this needs to happen, because they need to travel so fast to get it within a lifetime to another planetary system, and because of that speed they can't just immediately stop in that system. They're going to have to overshoot it, and because of that this robot exists to set up a receiver for the teleporter. Gravity or lack thereof, that is going to be crucial with the way this game is going to be working. We're going to be slingshotting around planets and using the gravity field in order to be able to get him to be able to get from the colony ship to the planet where he's creating the teleporter receiver. Hostile environment, so there's going to be a lot of different things. Lack of oxygen or atmosphere is not really going to affect the robot, but there's other things that will. But it does affect the humans in the colony ship, so that's part of the reason why it's dangerous for them to do this, and they send robots out instead. Hazards for our robots, so it can crash into planets, asteroid belts, asteroids themselves, so it has to be able to maneuver through those. Meteors flying through the screen, we want to avoid those. I think that we can have some fun with black holes, and like we probably realistically wouldn't be in a system with a black hole or anything like that, but I think it would be fun in a game story type of situation where maybe we can create something like that. Wormholes, so with wormholes, what I kind of was thinking is that maybe like they could be a black hole and a white hole, so one end is a black hole and the other end is a white hole, and basically a black hole just sucks things into it, and then the white hole is the side where it actually ejects everything into back into our 3D space or our world. So from it basically ends up creating a mini, or not a mini, but a kind of real world teleporting type system. So maybe the robot can use these black holes and white holes to be able to maneuver through a system. Again, not really realistic within real physics, but it could be kind of interesting for a game mechanic. I can think that maybe at some point, like one of the colony ships crashes into a system or something like that, and then because of that, this is a secondary colony ship that goes through, but then our little robot has to maneuver through debris from previous crashes of spacecraft. Moons. I was thinking that once you get close to a planet, you might need to time your landing in order to be able to dodge moons and other planetary things on there. Or maybe it could be that you're trying to land on one of the looms revolving around a planet, so that could be a challenge. Dust fields, maybe there could be dust fields in the area where if you fly through them, it slows down your robot character, so that could be something that you would have to contend with. Solar flares, I'm thinking that could be some interesting radiation issue where it puts your system on the fritz if you run through a solar flare, so that could be kind of interesting. And then maybe dark matter, so there's things that might have a gravitational influence on other things, but you can't see them, but you can see the influence of them in the world. So maybe there is trails from a sun going into the dark matter, or there's a planet revolving something, or a moon that's revolving around something, but it is dark on the screen, so you can't see it. It's just dark matter. But that's kind of some more kind of fleshing out of the idea and coming into a little bit more solid idea so that I can start production. I think I'm getting to the point where I have a really solid idea in my head of what the story and what the game is really going to be all about, so I can start moving forward from here and start designing things. Alright, so that's it for this video. We will see you guys in the next one. If you like this, please give me a thumbs up. It really helps a lot. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.